I want to go back for a moment. One of the byproducts of the Housing Act of 1934 was redlining. And that was a phrase that was coined by John McKnight of Chicago to describe the red line that banks were drawing around communities of color where they would not invest in. And they were specifically told by the housing, these are places that you should invest in. Well, we fought and we won the passage of the CRA to compel banks to invest in the communities of colors. Unfortunately, due to our dismal failure to eradicate redlining in the 70s and 80s, we're forced to continue with reverse redlining that is now known as predatory mortgage lending. I think everybody's familiar with that by now. And that has resulted in massive foreclosures and historic loss of wealth in our communities of colors. And another form of this toxic wealth stripping has become known as predatory payday lending that has stripped $5 billion worth of wealth also from our communities each year. We've had public actions at the Attorney General's offices and at 2 National Association of Attorney General meetings. And we've had tens of thousands of calls in to Attorney Generals in 47 states, and we've been able to continuously apply pressure to ensure that our communities benefit from the settlement and not the big banks. We have a plan that also targets both the banks and the regulators in corralling payday lending by compelling them to abandon these products and offer affordable yet safe small dollar loans. And we will intensify our efforts by direct engagement with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
So I work on a team with 4 other folks. We're specifically focused on housing, especially recovery for all Americans and for communities of color that were hit hardest by the housing crisis. So I'm just going to rattle off a couple of stats, some of the problems that we've had with trying to fix the housing crisis, but try to focus a little bit more on some of the solutions that we've been proposing. Move this up a little bit. So for the Latino community, we're seeing that 1 in 6 Latino homeowners have either lost their homes to foreclosure or soon will. For the African American community, that's 1 in 9 homeowners. At the same time, we've got 11% unemployment rates for Latinos and 16% for African Americans. So I'm going to go into some of the issues that we've had with trying to solve the foreclosure crisis, and that's been one of our main focuses since 2008. But overall, there just has not been a broad solution that can really address the scale of the problem. So there hasn't, we proposed systemic loan modifications for families, principal reduction. We have a housing counseling network. We have 50 housing counseling agencies across the country, and we hear from them often on what their issues are. And they're everything that you guys hear, that the banks have lost their documents, they're not doing principal reduction. Some of our families are trying to get a modification, and they're there trying to do that for more than a year. Other families who are almost at that modification point, and then the foreclosure is running on the same track, they lose the home, and then weeks later they hear that they got a modification. So just a lot of major issues with the banks really trying to address this issue.
Kit, my wife and I founded our architectural woodworking company 33 years ago. We have 8 full-time employees, we occupy 12,000 square feet of loft space, and we serve some of the wealthiest people in the world. For example, one of the projects that has helped us through this recession was building some very expensive deck chairs for a yacht. So you could say, I have a front row seat to the consolidation of wealth. That said, we found ourselves over the last 3 years in a desperate struggle, along with just about every contractor, subcontractor, and vendor we work with. We've cut our hourly rate, trimmed our costs, and most heartbreakingly of all, cut staff. Like a drowning swimmer, we're looking for a bottom that has yet to materialize. So one myth I'd like to explode today is the myth that tax cuts are all that small businesses need. We don't need tax cuts, we need customers. I live in mortal fear that my bank will call in my meager credit lines, as another bank has done to my friend and his partner. B of A has put a well-run, profitable firm at risk, distracting the partners with stressful, repeated demands for immediate repayment, resulting in repeated renegotiation of terms. Like the rest of the real small business community, my friend is in a desperate struggle to survive his hyper-competitive marketplace. The last thing he needs is a giant bank throwing their weight around. My friend has met B of A's demands, just barely, but others have not done so well. Denied long and short-term bank support, venerable multi-generational suppliers and competitors of ours have closed their doors. Unable to restock inventory or restructure debt, they laid off their well-paid workers and called the auctioneer. We need banks to support small business and our communities, not shut them down. Milton Friedman, seeing empty storefronts and shuttered shops, would say, well, that's the marketplace at work, cleaning up inefficient excess capacity. Well, I don't see it that way. What I see is too big to fail, crushing too small to fight back. Main Street's merchants and consumers alike need a strong watchdog on our side, one with a deep growl and a willingness to use it. And when that growling won't get it done, then that dog needs long, sharp teeth. We need aggressive, agile oversight of the big banks and the financial industry, and we need it now.